Hello, Westminster team. I'm providing you with this video feedback so that we can maximize this opportunity for you to revise and improve the draft of your campaign book and successfully submit the final campaign book on exam day. So here we start with the title page, which I've made a few adjustments here just to change the title a little bit. Table of contents looks good. Overall, you did some good work on this draft, and I'm very pleased, especially in comparison to some of the other papers. Yours actually is much better than most of the other papers. So we have the table of contents. The executive summary needs some work. So here's a general rule for writing your executive summary that you'll need to revise here. This is not a complete sentence here, and your executive summary doesn't provide enough specific information using precise language. So we don't know how much these increases are, and they need to be specified here in your executive summary. So the situation analysis is the first chapter of the campaign book. It begins on a new page. Make sure that we're formatted correctly. Yes, 1-inch margins all around. It just appears that, for some reason, all of this content seems to be indented somewhat. Make sure that's as far as it'll go. It is. So, okay, so who is they? You use they a lot without specifying who they is. They offer an exclusive well-being program, My W Life, which emphasizes wellness and lifelong learning. Nowhere in the sentence do you specify who they is, so it's an unspecified reference or pronoun. Also means it's an incomplete sentence because the subject is unspecified. It's just a vague they, and there occurs a great deal throughout this paper. In addition to they, there's quite a bit of first-person narration, so we can see here there are eight uses of we and 24 uses of our. So that's 32 instances of first-person narration, which is excessive and inappropriate and needs to be changed. Frequently, you can change our to this or some other way of phrasing it so that we're not using all these unspecified pronouns, we're not using all this first-person references, and we are able to understand what a sentence means on its own. It expresses a complete thought. Make sure that we're all the way over. So you'd refer to published reports and associated data rankings, but you never tell us what reports and data rankings you're talking about. So it's very vague and not very informative. We have other issues here, more with they, right? Then again, they. How many times is they used here, I wonder? "25 times they is used. You've got to tell us who they is when you use they, okay? I've done a great deal of line editing, as you can see, and here I don't know why there's a comma here or why it's italicized. Be careful using words like great and huge, and try to use words that tell us why something is great or huge. With extensive facilities or whatever it might be engaging or it might be effective, but try to avoid words like great because we don't know for sure what that means. Market research is your second chapter, begins on the top of a new page. So you need to go through and be very careful that you've gone through and read and have addressed all of my comments here. Never use etc. in formal writing. It's just not acceptable. Comments from residents and their families included boasting about activities, which include the fitness center, pool, art, day trips, connection to Rollins. and other activities, or in other whatever they might be. But you need to put here, no, don't use etc. Okay? Again, we got more of there, which we don't know who there is. And we don't know where they got this rating of 4 out of 5 stars, because you don't tell us. Actually, you probably need citations to provide a citation to the website where you found that information. Just going to make sure that we are all the way over, and we are. So we come to the current message is very generic. And yet we don't know whose message or where the message appears. That also seems repetitive. I think you say that more. Yes, she's used it more than once. Used the exact sentence more than once, so I would get rid of it here. Well, I don't know. You can't use the exact same sentence in 2 different places in the same paper, right? So this is a problem here as well. I don't know what's going on with that. Mayflower is upper middle class. No, Mayflower appeals to members of the upper and upper middle class, while Westchester's appeals are to middle and lower middle class people. While Westchester's appeals are to middle and lower middle class people than Westminster, doesn't make sense, right? So we need some work here. Mayflower can't be upper middle class. It may appeal to people from that class, or it may have residents from that class. But Mayflower is just a facility. And again, when we think about the Mayflower or the Westchester or the Westminster, those are organizations. So you can refer to them as it instead of they, because they're an organization, right? Unless you're talking about all 3. Our buyer persona, it's not our, right? It's Westminster's buyer persona, right? So just, there's no need, and it's not appropriate to use first person in so many instances where you used it, right? Be careful about that. Okay, and the evaluation looks pretty good. Never use I think or think they, right? Just make your assertion. Okay? Now we come to the campaign plan, which is the final and 3rd chapter of your campaign book. It's not our goal, this campaign's goal. Goals are to this campaign's goals. Are, okay. It's not our objectives, right? We need work here. The current message, well, whose current message and where is this message? This also, you need, okay, your strategies could be, you need to talk about both messages and channels. So social media strategy, content marketing strategy, and messaging strategies. So you can divide your strategies into these areas, right? This doesn't make a lot of sense. The current message is very generic. We don't know whose message or where it is. It reads, live well, be happy, period, okay, because being happy never gets old. Anytime you use quotes, you need a citation, right? This what could be the message of any assisted living facility, thus it needs to be changed. That sentence doesn't have any information in it. Thus, it needs to be changed. We don't know what it is. Next, we will broaden our market. No, you're not broadening your market. Next, this campaign will attempt to broaden Westminster's market. Okay? And so you're using a social media strategy, a content marketing strategy with the blog and with the video and photographic tours, and then messaging strategies. So what are the messages that you want to, which you have here, but you need to expand on that somewhat. Tactics looks pretty good except for all of this first person, right? My goodness. It's just overwhelming almost. This should be double spaced. Never use ST. This campaign will begin June 1, 2017 and will end on March 1, 2018. What is it? Which is the campaign, will take about a month to define initial expectations. Okay. What I would say in terms of the timeline and the budget is if Westminster's existing staff is unable to create the virtual tour video, it is estimated that hiring a videographer will cost approximately $4,000. The videographer will be contracted, right? So if Westminster's, so I would always put that first, because they may have a connection with the videographer, or it needs to go here as well. Okay. They may have a connection with the photographer. They may have one on staff, whatever. And so you need to make sure that, if they do have somebody like that, a videographer or a photographer on staff, or a connection with one, then they can use that person, and the price may be considerably less, if not part of their normal payroll. The final section in the campaign plan is your measurement criteria and evaluation plan. Here you need to go back to your objectives and specifically state all of your objectives here should cover everything in terms of your strategies and your tactics, and they should be used as your KPIs, your key performance indicators, your benchmarks, your measurement criteria. So evaluating new and updated. So we don't know how you'll evaluate them though, right? We don't know how much of an increase is the campaign designed to achieve. The difference in amount, it's not amount, it's number of site visitors. Okay, well, what differences are you looking for? Just if there is a difference, does that mean it's successful? You have to be very precise here and use your objectives and explain that over, where's your timeline here? That over the, what is this, a 9-month campaign? Each month, the objectives can be used as key performance indicators in order to benchmark the progress of the campaign. And so whatever your objective is, let's look at an objective. Increase Facebook followers by 20% over 9 months, right? Is that what your goal is? So 20 divided by 9 is, you want to make sure that you're achieving a 2.2% increase in Facebook followers each month in order to benchmark the progress of the campaign. Additional KPIs don't make any sense. If these are not included in your objectives, which they probably need to be, this information probably needs to be included in your, if it's not in your objectives, it can't suddenly appear in your measurement criteria and evaluation plan. So it looks like you need to expand your objectives to include some of this information as well. Finally, we have the bibliography. So this needs to be changed into a hanging indent, which for some reason, okay, I see it's two different. I've already done some of that work here. Be sure to cite all of the websites from Westminster, Westchester, and Mayflower. Be sure to cite all of the social media platforms you use in your paper from Westminster, Mayflower, and Westchester. You should make sure you put those here in your entries in your bibliography. Looks like this needs to be pulled over a good bit here. Here we go. And your appendices look pretty darn good, I gotta say. I'm very pleased to see. I think you're the only team that actually had this. Here's an example of a video tour. Here's an example of a photo tour. Here's some assisted living blog post examples. So good work overall, especially on the appendices here. These look nice. You've got the URLs, you've got the images, and a screenshot, it appears. So good work overall, Westminster team. Just some last-minute revisions to make, and then you'll be very successful in the completion of your campaign book and the contemporary PR class this semester. Let me know if you have